Hey, what up, everybody? So, um, this comes up a lot in a lot of my sessions. I pretty much 95% of my sessions are people who are experiencing some sort of a breakup or divorce or relationship issues, and they're trying to navigate in the towards healing their relationships, or the core of that is always going to be strengthening yourself, as you guys know from watching all my videos. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the two different types of no contact. Okay? There's one type that works, and then there's another type that basically, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It makes things worse. It can make things worse. Okay? So the first type of no contact is the standard one that most people, I guess, think of, um, and it's basically you basically like it does what it says on the can. All right, so you're just basically cutting off all communication. You're not writing back. There's no texting, calling, anything. There's like zero communication going on. Um, and for obvious reasons, the main reason people do this is to try to get their ex back. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with wanting to do everything you can to get your ex back. And doing no contact to get your ex back is totally understandable. It's just that it's not being correctly understood when it's applied in this way, okay? Because the crazy thing about no contact is that it's not about not contacting your ex. It's not about ignoring your ex. It's not about, you know, creating a wall and trying to manipulate them and trying to like get them to like be starved, of your attention. It's not about that, okay? All of that stuff will likely fail, and now I'll tell you why. So two types of no contact. The first type, the one that most people think of, which is, oh, I'm going to, you know, ignore this person, and then they're going to miss me, and then they're going to like feel empty without me, and then they're going to finally break and contact me, right? That's what most people think of when they think of no contact. Now, the reason why that doesn't work is because the way to explain this best is the reason why no contact is such a big thing now and people are more aware of it. The reason why it works is because it's inaccurately called no contact. What it should be called is self-love, self-focus. So there's two types of no contact. There's the first one that I just talked about, when you're manipulating, when you're trying to make the other person suffer and miss you, so that they'll contact you. That, I guess you can call the standard no contact. Then there's the true no contact that truly works. And this version of no contact is the reason why no contact has become popular and become so effective, but so misunderstood. Very, very, very few people will properly understand the correct method of applying no contact. And those who are able to do so will almost guarantee see the benefits from it. So you have the two different types of no context. The first one, which is the standard manipulating all of this, and then the second one, which I prefer to call self-love, self-focus. Now let me dive into explaining why one works and the other one doesn't. Okay, it's actually it makes common sense. So if you pay attention, you'll be able to see the logic clearly. You see, rather than putting all your energy to ignore someone and do the no contact in the traditional manipulative sense that most people unfortunately believe it to be, the fact is that you're not ignoring them. You're actually putting, there's so much attention on them that it's unbelievable. You're putting more attention on them than even normal, okay? Because you're basically saying, right, we're going to start this war, this battle of who's going to break first, who's going to miss, the other person first. Or, oh yeah, you're going to do this, well, I'm going to take away all my attention and all my love from you, and let's see how you're going to do without it. And then in the hope that they're going to contact you and break, The problem with doing that is that most people wind up going into a process of waiting, sitting, waiting, doing absolutely nothing with their life except for just waiting, counting the minutes, counting the hours, counting the days, the weeks, slowly going, just going crazy. Why? Because your attention is on them rather than where your attention should be, which is, trying to take your attention off of your ex, and onto yourself, your self-love. Self-love is all about, getting yourself back in shape physically, mentally, re-strengthening your mind, the pain, the suffering, that horrible emptiness that you're feeling, right now, or have been feeling from your loss or breakup or whatever, is something that it's a sign to you of how much of yourself you've given away, how much of your power you've given away. So it's almost like nature trying to show you, if you touch fire, don't you get burnt? Doesn't it hurt a lot? So the intensity of which your breakup is hurting is equivalent to the intensity of how much of yourself you invested and gave away into this relationship. And it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. It's natural to invest and give a big part of ourselves, put a big part of ourselves into a relationship. That's totally cool, totally natural. But upon things breaking up, breakups happen for a reason, remember. So when a breakup happens, it's almost always, in my personal belief, happening because you want it to happen and you've made it happen. Either subconsciously or consciously, we can sometimes self-sabotage things because we know deep inside that this isn't right for us. And sure, it's like almost like another incredible aspect about us that we can be so lucky for having, that we have this deep thing within us that, regardless of the child within us that always just wants to go towards things that are sweet, stimulating, exciting, regardless of that child, there's always something within us that just knows, and helps to guide us back. Either it will break up a relationship that shouldn't be happening, not necessarily to end the relationship, but to introduce some space and distance. And for many relationships, in fact, for most relationships, I believe that's all that's needed. And that was all that was needed in the first place, is being able to manage your space and your distance a bit better, so that you have more of that connection with yourself, more me time, and it's not so much about you guys being so dependent upon each other. So going back to this video, the two different types of no contact. So the affective kind of no contact is going to be the type of no contact where you're going to say, okay, it's over. And I'm going to look past that person now. And I'm going to do that every day until it starts to become a habit. Yes, it means giving up hope, you know, and that's the key. I think that's the key step for making true no contact or self-love, self-focus work. Okay, like I said, I don't think calling it no contact to me doesn't, I don't like it so much. I prefer calling it what it really is. And it is self-love, it is self-focus. And that's the most effective no contact. Why? Because when you get on with your life, when you start to say, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu now. I'm going to start taking dance classes. I'm going to start doing painting. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to start looking after myself. I'm going to get on with my life as if that person never existed in the first place. Okay? What would you be doing if that person never existed in the first place? What would you be doing? Right? You have to put yourself in that mindset. That person is now gone. What are you going to do with your life? What can you do? You can do so much. So you get on with it. And the more you get on with it, here's why it works, as opposed to the traditional normal no contact, which is the manipulative kind where you're just sitting and waiting. When's this person going to call me and break? Well, when you're sitting all day long doing nothing but just crying and being depressed and being in bed and just kind of doing no contact in the hope that this person's going to contact you, well, you're not doing anything with your life. You're not improving yourself. You might wind up doing, drugs or drinking or just being in rebounds, dating just to get, stimulation. It's just kind of like you've lost this big thing and now you're just kind of just trying to hold on to as many things as possible, and they're just quick things that don't last, like as if you're trying to cross over a river and the rocks that you're standing on are just small. They're going to just sink in. Every time you step on it, they just sink, so you've got to jump onto another one. Rather than, slowly building your way across the river, and guaranteeing your health, your safety, your future, So, I know that doesn't sound so exciting, the healthy, proper way to do it, but it is awesome. It is so awesome. It's like it's the same sort of awesome as anyone out there who trains or does weights or does any sort of training. Those of you out there who understand training, whether you're fighting or doing weights or whatever, you'll understand that sense of awesome when you do 3 reps of 20 at a higher weight level, or if you roll with someone, you're sparring with someone who's stronger than you. If you put in a good days of work, you feel those gains and it feels awesome. Okay? It takes discipline, it takes wisdom, it takes courage, and it takes just little daily practice. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And nature will reward you when you do it that way. You'll start to see the rewards. It takes faith, it takes patience, it takes discipline, but you will see those rewards. The other way of doing it, just trying to jump and grab onto anything stimulating that you can find, nature will give you the response to that as well. And you'll suffer more and fall and keep falling deeper and deeper and deeper until you hit probably rock bottom. And when you do, you're going to absolutely wake up, because most people that hit that rock bottom will realize it's not a place you want to be there at all, not even for a second. But people who are still suffering almost need to keep suffering. They need to keep hurting themselves. We all within us have this thing that will just wake up. If, tomorrow an invading country, and I've been in this situation before. I've been, when I was 10, I lived in a country that got invaded by another country, I lived in a country called Kuwait in the Middle East, and one day, just in the morning, Iraq decided to invade Kuwait. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when something like that happens, everything else goes out the window, and all of a sudden you just wake up, and it's all about survival. But most of us suffer because, in a way, we're a bit spoilt, And, as I've said in a lot of my videos, there's way more to life than relationships. And people who are like, when we get so caught up in the relationship, we're suffering because we're putting our attention on it more. And actually, in actual fact, if you want to know the true reason we're suffering so much is not about love. It's not about having lost someone. It's more to do with how it ended. It's more to do with rejection. It's more to do with a bruised ego. It's more to do with this sense of someone's better than me, someone beat me, So it's like a competitive thing we have within us. It's very deeply ingrained in our at an instinctual level for us because it has to do with our self-image and our confidence. This is why so many people, their self-esteem and their confidence gets damaged in breakups, because then they start to think, whoa, well, if this person rejected me, then what does that mean about me? Okay, of course it's all nonsense. It's just all the mind playing tricks on you. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and they're like, what, two, extremely good-looking, successful, wealthy people. Someone dumped someone. I haven't been following what it is, but does that mean that, one person's less than the other? No. Okay, so this is just your mind starts to like ramble on negative stuff, and then that's why you suffer. Okay, it's all to do with thoughts, as I talk about in my videos. But this is very difficult to like express to people, especially when you're going through it. You tend to like be like you tune all this off, and it's like you want the quick fixes. But the reality is that, okay, even the standard no contact, the misunderstood version of no contact, still is good. Why? Because it prevents you from making more of a mess. All right? And this leads me to the next reason for why proper no contact, in other words, self-love, self-focus, works, and why the misunderstood, manipulative no contact doesn't work. Okay, because when you are focused on yourself, self-loving yourself, getting on with your own thing, let me paint a picture of how a situation where your ex would more than likely come back. It's going to be like, let's imagine you just went through a breakup, and then the following day, out of nowhere, this is just an example, you meet the girl or the guy of your dreams, the perfect person for you, okay? This person is funny, confident, loving, incredible to be around, way better than your ex, right? Just imagine that happens. What are you going to wind up doing? You're going to be hanging out with this person. You're going to be doing all sorts of things. You're going to be having fun. You're going to be getting on with your life. The last thing you're going to be doing is thinking about your ex. Why would you? You're happy, right? You're healthy. You're whole. You're complete. There's no reason for you to think about your ex. Okay, you have got something better, all right? Your ex is going to wind up wondering, why isn't this person why am I not seeing them? There's an endless list of signs and details that we can pick up on each other. Do you think you're the only one that's looking at your ex's social media and like kind of like trying to find signs of what they're doing and what's up with them? No, you're not. They're also doing the same thing too. Okay? And even if they're not, there are things that there will be signs. If you're out there getting on with your life, self-loving yourself, you're going to be out and about, okay? You could wind up, again, this is just another random example to illustrate the point, but you could be out and about and imagine you're at a store and your ex is at the same store, and for the last few weeks you've been outside, you've been active, you've been working out, you've been eating well, you've been self-loving yourself, you've been strengthening your mind, the way you think, learning about the way the mind works, and just strengthening yourself. It's not only going to show physically, you're probably going to, because you're out, training under the sun, might get some color, a nice tan, you're going to be in better looking shape. Just the way that you think is going to be different. Everything's going to be different. Imagine if you bump into your ex, or imagine if she sees you or he sees you and you don't see them, right? If they see you and you've like in a few weeks just like, clearly been self-loving, self-focusing yourself, they're going to be drawn to you again. Whereas on the other hand, imagine you're doing the other version of no contact, which is, you're not loving yourself, you're not self-focusing, all you're doing is trying to manipulate, and in the meantime you're just, not fully understanding where the power and magic of no contact comes from. You're doing it as a manipulation sort of thing, and there's going to be less signs of you out in the world to pick up on that you're actually progressing, because you're going to be at home, you're going to be doing nothing. Your possibility of your ex even seeing you out and about is going to be way reduced, because you're just at home depressed and you're just not doing anything, right? So those are just two very small examples. There's like endless examples. Just being active every day and getting on with your life and making that effort. Yes, it's not easy, but making that effort to just every day get out, exercise, do some sports, be smart enough to like fill your life with activities that you're going to be interested in, that are going to grab your interest and attention. The more and more you do, the more and more signs you're going to be making to your ex, but to the world also, but to your ex, that you're moving on. And that's what ultimately gets our exes to recontact us, is when they feel like, first of all, number one, this person's not contacting me because they must be happy and strong and healthy, and that's attractive. Or this person's not contacting me because they've moved on, And that is also, unfortunately, the reason they would contact you because of that would be out of fear, okay? A fear of losing you. And that's more of the manipulation sort of stuff. But yeah, the essence of successful no contact is self-love. That's the essence of successful no contact. It's self-love, getting on with your life, getting on with your thing, with whatever you're doing, rather than counting the days. You're just refocusing onto yourself, and then just see what happens. See what happens. Rather than, just counting the minutes, counting the hours, and, just waiting and wishing and hoping that they're going to contact you. Because on another level, I personally believe we're all linked beyond the physical world. I believe we are all linked in a way that science will one day prove that, there are endless stories, I'm sure, in your own life you can relate to, where you think of someone, then they call you or email you. Or, there's just so much. We manifest. We are creators. We are extremely godlike. We can create and manifest based on our thoughts and the energy that we apply to those thoughts. We can create. So, if you're sitting there waiting, wanting, wishing, hoping, needing them, I believe that can be sensed. Okay? But beyond it being sensed, look at everything else I said in this video. Your actions are going to also make a difference. If you're sitting at home doing nothing, well, what signs are there for your ex or whomever to get a feel, that you're more attractive? How are they going to know? Yeah. I mean, ultimately, one of the main purposes of no contact is so that you do not continue making a mess. You don't continue ruining things. Why? Because you can't fake the genuine, going back to if you meet the person of your dreams after your breakup, you can't fake that genuine moving on attitude. It's very, very difficult to fake that. Very difficult. Even a genius, I think, would find it difficult, because if you're trying to manipulate your ex by playing it cool and all of this, and it's going to be so hard, okay? The best way is when you really are in that zone, okay? Let's say you really are in that zone, and after a few weeks, of being with the girl or guy of your dreams, your ex writes you and is like, hey, what's up? How are you? Your response is probably going to be like, oh, hey, what's up? How have you been? Yeah, I'm good. I hope everything's cool with you. Sending you all the best, right? They're going to get that and be like, what the fuck? Why is he so happy? Or why is she so happy? But if you aren't in that zone and you've been for the last 3 weeks just waiting, and when's she going to write, and when's she going to write? As soon as you get an email from him or her, from your ex, you're going to run around the room, have a party, and be like, woo, this person wrote, what do I say? What do I say? What am I going to say? Every word becomes this, absolute big, huge, strategy meeting. You just wind up asking your friends, what do you think of this? Should I say this? What about this word? And then it's going to wind up just not coming across natural, and it's going to have that feel and that sound of desperation and need, no matter what you do. If it's going to be like, I'm fine, thanks. It's going to be clear that you're upset, So what I'm trying to say here is I'm not trying to say that, you're supposed to become magically over your ex in a day and then just move on. No. There is definitely an element of you got to fake it until you make it going on. But what you're doing with your time is important. Are you trying? Are you getting out there? Are you exercising? Are you eating better? Are you improving yourself? Are you doing the journaling every day? Are you doing all these things? Because those things are going to help you come from a more genuine, turn into that genuine person that I was talking about that's actually moving on. As I've said in a lot of my videos, it's amazing. You can go online and look this up. How many people hear from their exes the moment they give up hope? The moment they give up hope, their ex contacts them. It's amazing, how much it happened with me, ages ago now, but it happened with me. And look, the reason why I talk about this so much this isn't just about breakups. The no contact rule can be applied to everyday life. I apply it to everyday life. I don't call it the no contact rule. Remember, I prefer to call it the self-love, self-focus rule. But I apply it to everything, all my relationships. I keep a really close eye on every relationship that I have, and the way my relationships go, when they if they become toxic, I apply, let's call it no contact. I create more distance. I find a healthy, maintain healthy barriers and distance. I create space So not to manipulate people, not to get, to do it in the original way that we all think no contact is. No, but to create enough space so that I can focus on myself, get back to the things that, are energizing for me, whether it's my music, my training, my garden. I love gardening and I love planting things. I eat apples and I keep the seeds. I dry the seeds from all the fruit I eat, and then I plant them in little pots in my kitchen, water them, and then the seedlings come out, and when they get strong, I put them in bigger pots. I love that shit. I love it. That's my zone. That's when I'm not on my phone, I'm not doing anything, and it's empowering to me. It energizes me. It helps keep me healthy, excited, in love with life. And yes, I can totally see that being boring, to a lot of people, even to myself. There are times when if I get lost and get into this stimulating world of, notifications and likes and friend requests and, all this kind of stuff, that can be kind of boring. I'll be like out there, watching plants grow, and I'll be like, oh, where's all that stimulation? But come on, people, let's face it, all that stimulation is a bit nonsense at the end of the day. Like, not complete nonsense, but we're not going to get that power and that energy and that, vitality, that real life, that real love, that real power. We're not going to get it out of all that stuff. That stuff is stimulating. Yeah, we get it, but it only lasts a second. And then what happens after that? It's like heroin. So, my advice to anyone out there going through a very difficult breakup, as far as this video is concerned, is try to understand what no contact truly is, what effective no contact truly is. Try to understand that. Why no contact is effective, why it works. I know that more than anything right now, you want to hear from your ex, or you want to get back together with your ex. I know that's the main thing you want right now. Sadly, it's sort of like a slipknot situation. Do you know what a slipknot is? I think it's the slipknot, where the tighter you pull, the stronger the knot gets. And that's the situation that you're in right now, is the more you go towards your ex, the more you need and crave them and want to email them and contact them and send them these long letters of how you made a mistake and how much you love them and how you realize now everything. All of that stuff you want to do, or, send them flowers, or all of that stuff that you want to just do to get them back is like making it worse. Okay? It's like the slip knot. You make the knot tighter. Okay? It's unattractive. It's a sign of being needy. It's a sign of lack. Sign of not being whole. Nobody wants that. When you go out and beggars, if you're ever around beggars, they're coming after you and they just want, they're, give me, need. Everyone moves away from beggars, right? We fear them because they are full of emptiness and need and weakness. That's instinctually, at an instinctual level, that's what we're, programmed to believe. Oh, these guys must, there's something wrong with these people. Yeah, I need to get away from them. And that's why some of you may have had that response from your ex that, stop talking to me, stop contacting me, stop, leave me alone. Yeah, it's just a natural response. Okay. So, like a slipknot, it's the opposite that we have to do, which is to release and to let go, and then the slipknot, you can unravel it. Okay, so to release and to let go, it means get back to yourself. Okay, start to strengthen this. Start to learn how to use this. Learn what's going on, because it's all your suffering is coming from your thoughts. So understand that more. Strengthen this, because our body can affect our mind. They've done lots of incredible studies out there. One example is, where there's this really good TED Talks on body language. And like, let's say when you walk out with your chest out, open like this, it affects you mentally, okay? Because the two are linked. When you feel mentally confident and happy and energized and full of life, you're going to be running around like this. When we're kids, we're like, like this. But when you're afraid, when you're sad, when you become more defensive, your body language becomes like this. So one thing I did when I was going through difficult times was I made a conscious attempt to walk around with my chest open. Yes, it felt weird, it felt awkward, but I just did it around people. I would walk up and down the beach with my chest out like this. That was my training. I would go to the beach and I'd do it, because there were less people, and it was okay. Like I'd be like, felt comfortable, and I'd walk up and down, and I'd say, for me, it was like a rep of weights. I'd say, I'm going to walk up and down this beach twice with my chest out and my, in a good posture. Do you know how many women were checking me out that I had never noticed that before? Why? Because women, not just women, but men are drawn to that energy in girls, but women are very attracted to men who stand upright, have a good posture, chest out, open. It's a sign of strength, confidence, love. It's very attractive, okay? So that's just one example there. Like I said, there's endless amounts of things that, I wound up doing. All of these things helped me a lot. So, get onto your self-improvement journey, okay? And yeah, if you have any questions, post them down below. It is getting a bit more difficult for me now to respond to everyone, as I've got so many videos out there now and a lot of people commenting, but I try to get back to everyone. Or if you're interested in coaching, you can email me. I'll put my email down below and you can hit me up. I'm doing life coaching now, and I'm learning a lot from it, and it's helping to refine and strengthen myself. And everything, we all are different, so different things work differently for each and every one of us. But there are some core things, and I can see that more and more with my daily sessions. There's some core things that just work. All right, so I'm sending everybody out there all the best, and I hope this video helps. And I'm out of here. Adios.